call to order this meeting of the James City County Board of Supervisors for a business meeting. Mr. Stevens, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hippel?
Here.
Ms. Knoll?
Present.
Ms. Larson?
Here.
Mr. McGlennon?
Here.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Here. May I have a motion to amend the agenda to add a closed session for the acquisition of property?
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Stevens, call the roll.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlennon?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. We now move to presentations for our business meeting, and our first one is a retirement commendation for Assistant Police Chief Anthony Dallman. And I will move down to the podium down there first. This one. Right. Thank you. Okay, we have a commendation honoring the service of Tony Dallman. And whereas Tony Dallman has served the residents of James City County with distinction for 31 years, beginning his career on January 3rd, 1995 as a patrol officer and culminating in his role as Assistant Chief of Police. And whereas Tony has exemplified the highest standards of integrity, excellence, and dedication, guiding staff and serving the community with unwavering professionalism. And whereas Tony has been involved in numerous initiatives, including the Crisis Negotiations Team, Williamsburg Trauma Informed Community Network, and the Child Abuse Prevention Coalition, just to name a few. And whereas Tony most recently played an instrumental role in the formation of the police department's Drones as a First Responders team, and whereas Tony's deep knowledge of the James City County Police Department and his steady leadership have been vital to the department's success. And whereas Tony has inspired colleagues through his positive attitude, collaborative spirit, and commitment to service. And whereas Tony's last day of work will be December 16th, 2025, and official retirement on March 1st, 2026 will be a tremendous loss to James City County and the many lives he has touched throughout his remarkable career. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Chair of the Board of Supervisors, on behalf of the residents of James City County, do hereby extend our deepest gratitude to Tony Dallman for his decades of exceptional service and commitment to our community. We wish him an enjoyable, fulfilling, and well-deserved retirement. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the County of James City, Virginia, to be affixed this 9th day of December, 2025. And Tony, we have the new seal.
Good afternoon. I'm Mark Jameson, Chief of Police for the James City County Police Department. I would just like to say a few words in recognition of Tony's 31 years. You know, for all those in public service, you know the job can be very difficult for fire and police, especially to make it 31 years is something special. This job can be very dangerous at times. So as much at times when we lose people to retirement, we may, you know, think, oh, we're losing another staff member, what are we going to do? But I look at it a little bit differently, that we should be celebrating that someone made it 31 years in this job. And that's what we're celebrating here today is Tony Dallman. And personally for me, Tony and I competed for this job, and I'll never forget, we were coming through the interview process and I met Tony for the first time, and we started having some small conversations, and I was like, so what are you doing today? What's kind of on your agenda? And he's like, well, I've got to go before the board and work on golf cart approvals. And I'm like, what am I getting myself into for focused on golf cart approvals? But it was a great conversation. And I must say that Tony absolutely helped me transition into this role when I first got hired. I know he was probably sick of the phone calls, the questions I had, because it was nonstop. For many months, probably a full year. But Tony always answered, and he was always there to answer my questions or lead me where I need to go to find the answer. So for me, to you, Tony, thank you for that. Thank you for your leadership, your dedication to this department, to this community. 31 years is to be proud of. We're proud of you, and congratulations.
Good afternoon, Chairman Eisenhower, members of the Board of Supervisors, Mr. Stevens, Mr. Reinheimer, Mrs. Dallman, members of the James City County Police Department, and colleagues from across the county government. I know that I need to be quick today because she runs the buzzer and she will cut me off. So I stand before you today with mixed emotions. After 31 years of service to this county, I am announcing my retirement from the police department. It has been the absolute privilege of my life to serve this community as a member of the James City County Police Department. It is very hard to believe that it's been 3 decades. Over these 3 decades, my best memories are not the individual cases or citations written or incidents that I've been on, but of the people that I've worked with in the department, in the rest of the county government, and our citizens. To the men and women of the police department, thank you for your tireless efforts, your professionalism, and your courage. The bond that we share of friendship and unwavering support is the foundation of our success and something that I will cherish forever. To the Board of Supervisors, county administration, and the rest of the county government, thank you for your help, your friendship, your kindness, your support for me, for the department, and the consistent essential resources that you provided us over the years. You all have made these 31 years fly by. To Renee and the rest of my family, thank you very much for putting up with the long nights, the missed holidays, and the anxiety that comes with this career. I couldn't have done it without you. Christmas and New Year's are a time for new beginnings. So while I'm hanging up this uniform, I look forward to exploring other avenues to serve and give back to our community in another way, the community that has given so much to me. Thank you all for this incredible journey, for your friendship, and for 31 wonderful years. I wish you and your families a joyous holiday season and a safe and prosperous new year. And as always, I am proud to say that I am a James City County police officer. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I would remark that it's been my interesting experience to see how many people we have on our county staff who have been here 25, 30, 35, even 40 years. It says a lot about the community and about our staff as being a very close-knit family-type organization. And you do wonderful work for our community, and we really appreciate it. I'm going to do my chairman's award for the staff part at this meeting, and we'll be doing the one for outside at our 5 o'clock meeting based on the availability of folks. So what I want to do next is to bring this one down. And I would like Barbara Watson to come forward. It's the chair's privilege every year to award a chairman's award to a member or organization of the staff as well as the community. And I got to tell you that this year, sort of like my first two times being chair. They made me chair 2 years during COVID, and now I was chair during the government shutdown. And one of the things that I can tell you is that having watched what goes on in our community, our social services people deal with a lot of folks who are really in crisis in their lives. And they do it on a day in and day out basis. And they administer programs that are generally funded by the federal government and the state. And of course, the question of whether that funding will be there or not has made their job infinitely more difficult. And it has a real adverse impact on our citizens. But I did want to recognize how important they are in helping those in our community who need that help get it. And it's an unsung job. You don't get the recognition that a lot of other folks do. But I've had the opportunity to try to help people who were navigating some of the issues that had to come through social services. And I know the frustrations you deal with in trying to deal with the federal bureaucracy and trying to make things work right for our citizens. So I'm selecting Social Services Department as the Chairman's Award recipient. Whereas social services programs are intended to help people to help themselves by temporarily assisting residents in meeting their basic needs, including food, shelter, utilities, and medical care, and through employment. Additionally, they provide services focused on protecting children, the disabled, and the elderly from abuse, neglect, and exploitation. And whereas in the calendar year 2025 was difficult for many families in our community, but the Social Services Department persevered through these difficulties to provide exceptional service. And whereas the Human Service Building, which houses the bulk of the staff, received 10,800 visits from citizens and included more than 250 translation services for those requiring assistance in another language. And whereas the Adult Services completed 364 protective services investigations, 175 guardianship cases, and 78 after-hour reports. And whereas Children's Services included 49 that received community-based services, 115 child protective service investigations, 234 family investigations, 715 child protective services reports, and 181 after-hours reports. And whereas economic assistance was provided through 3,320 supplemental nutrition assistance program household cases processed, and more than 4,500 individual recipients, 6,300 Medicaid cases processed, and over 13,700 individuals receiving Medicaid benefits. Whereas family and housing support served more than 280 with rental assistance, 146 with child care assistance, 700 with energy assistance, 165 with home ownership assistance, and an additional 100 homes revitalized, and more than 40 individual families received homelessness prevention services. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Chairman of the Board of Supervisors of James City County, Virginia, hereby recognize social services and presents this award as a token of appreciation for extraordinary service to James City County and its citizens. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of James City County Board of Supervisors to be affixed this 9th day of December, 2025. And I've signed that, and I would like to present this to you and ask your staff to come up so that we, if you want to speak, say a few words first, and then we'll get a photo.
I'd like to say thank you for this award, Mr. Eisenhower, members of the board. Social Services works very hard. They're very committed to what they do, and public service is very important. And we want to be there for the most vulnerable in our community. So this is very important and special. Thank you.
Up front? All right, okay.
Barbara informs me it's quite a crowd, but that's not all of them. So but we do appreciate all of our social services folks being here for the meeting this afternoon. We next have a presentation from Patrick Page on the CivicPlus Community Impact Award.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. CivicPlus, our website provider, sponsors a Community Impact Award program each year that is open to all CivicPlus clients in North America. This award program recognizes customers' leading departments, teams, and initiatives that are driving positive impact in their communities and improving resident experiences. For this program, a team at CivicPlus reviews all entries from across North America and narrows down the field to a list of 10 top finalists. From there, CivicPlus team plus representatives from the previous year's winning localities independently judge and score each of the 10 accepted entries. Once scored and tallied, the top 3 localities are notified that their project placed in the top 3 finalist position. We're pleased to announce that this year, the county's housing portal was one of the top 3 finalists in the Community Impact Award program. Judges were particularly impressed at how the housing resource portal has significantly improved how we serve our residents and those in surrounding counties by reducing housing-related inquiries and enabling users to access critical information at a time that's convenient to their schedule. Staff now spends less time fielding repetitive questions and more time engaging in meaningful conversations with their clients. Between July 24 and June 25th, June 24 and 25, key program pages saw dramatic increases in traffic, including 14.6% increase in visits to homeless prevention program, 45.5% increase in visits to housing voucher program pages, 98% rise in views for income-based rental opportunities, and over 117% surge in visits to local food bank information. For placing as top 3 finalists, we were awarded a trophy, and CivicPlus made a $1,000 donation to the Grove Christian Outreach Center on behalf of the county. That was put together by team members from the housing department, web staff, and with the support of the 3 of us directors.
Thank you. It's great.
Congratulations.
Do we have a? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Our next one is the James City County audit presentation. Our auditor is en route, and so we will push that back to later in the meeting. And I will now move to the today's consent calendar consists of the following items. appointment and authorization of police powers and fire prevention powers. Number 2 is approval of December 26, 2025 as a county holiday. Number 3 is compensation board allocation, $48,272 circuit court clerk's office. Number 4 is the declaration of an unsafe building and structure. Number 5, minutes adoption. Number 6, resolution of Chesapeake Bay Preservation Ordinance violation at 113 Indian Circle. Number 7, resolution of Chesapeake Bay Preservation Ordinance violation at 4396 Landfall Drive. And number 8, resolution of erosion and stormwater management ordinance violation at 4396 Landfall Drive. Does anyone wish to pull an item, or could I have a
Mr. Chairman, I don't wish to pull the item, but I would like to highlight 6, 7, and 8, which deal with enforcement of Chesapeake Bay preservation ordinances and our erosion and stormwater management ordinance. Just to say that I know this can sometimes be a very difficult challenge, but our staff handles it in an exceptionally professional way and makes sure that people understand the importance of respecting those critical environmental issues. So I'll move the consent calendar.
move the consent calendar? Mr. Stevens, call the roll, please.
Mr. Hippel. Aye. Ms. Knoll.
Aye.
Ms. Larson.
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan.
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay.
And I would just want to congratulate that the Assistant Fire Marshal, is it Minterns? You've completed. Thank you for that, and looks like you're well on your way, so congratulations.
Okay, we move to board discussions. First is LU 20-0002, Eastern State Parcel C Land Use Designation Change. Morgan Reisinger will give the brief overview.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board.
Afternoon.
The board discussed the Eastern State Parcel C land use application LU-20-0002 at its business meeting on October 28th. Some of the points brought up during that meeting included interest in potential land use designation options, the proportions of residential and commercial development on the property, and impacts of traffic on the local road network. Staff has provided information in your packet pertaining to the descriptions of the mixed-use level 1 and mixed-use level 2 designations. As described in the comprehensive plan, mixed-use level 1 areas are located at the intersections of collector streets or arterial streets and are intended to be compatible with surrounding areas by providing transition areas and step-downs in densities from nearby residential areas. Mixed-use level 2 areas are described as being located at or near interstate interchanges or intersections of major thoroughfares or adjacent to mixed-use areas of similar intensity. While mixed-use level 1 areas are anticipated to allocate more land towards residential uses when compared to mixed-use level 2 areas, mixed-use level 2 areas are, however, anticipated to have much higher residential densities and amounts of commercial floor area, as well as a more intensive scale development with taller buildings. Staff welcomes the board's discussion about these two land use designation options for the property. Staff also notes that the board may include additional guidance in the draft Eastern State Parcel C description language to cover any expectations that might not be explicitly addressed with either option. In addition, the applicant team is here should you have questions for them. Thank you.
Questions for staff? Okay. I guess let me kick this off with basically a recap that during the comprehensive plan adoption last time, the board decided to defer consideration of changing the land use designation from government land until we had a better idea of what kind of proposals were going to be coming forward on this. And we now have proposals that are before us here. The question right now is that either right before or simultaneously with actually dealing with an application on this particular piece of property, which is the Parcel C, which is the one that is accessible off of Discovery Boulevard from Newtown, that we would come back and look at what we thought the appropriate thing was, the designation was to put on it. I think at the Planning Commission, it was decided that they recommended a level 2. And I asked the board to consider this at a work session so we could have a discussion about it prior to actually taking any action, which would potentially be at our meeting at 5 o'clock. And it appears that you either have a level 1 or a level 2. And the first thing I was wanted to find out was how it would affect the current proposal that's before us if we designated the land use for level 2 or level 1, which was as she has mentioned, slightly lower density. And the answer we got back was that the actual density was actually below even what was required for either one. It was like 3 point something, I think. I can't remember exactly where it was in here, but we had the response back from staff. So 3.3 units per developable acre. So it's really the density issue between the two is not so much of an issue. The question of L1 and L2 versus the arterial road or collector road, I think it's, although it's in proximity to 199, it's potentially it's off of a Discovery Boulevard, which is like either a collector road or one that would feed into some of the higher travel roads. And when I got into looking at what we were being asked to do with the descriptions, the other thing that I noticed was that under recommended uses and allocations of land, it had essentially these differences of the residential would drop from 20 to 50% down, or would actually it would increase from 20 to 50% was what it was in level 2, and it would be 30 to 60 in level 1. Non-residential would be slightly less than it was in level 2, and that the public and civic area would be combined with open space and be slightly more. Instead of a combined 15%, it'd be 20%. So it seemed to me that in looking at this, if we were to designate it as level 1 mixed use, that it would be pretty compatible with what's being proposed right now, so that we wouldn't be necessarily making the proposal untenable. So I'm sort of leaning toward making it level 1 because I think that sort of sets the stage for the kind of development we want on it. The other questions that I had that I really would like to engage with staff a little bit on has to do with the comprehensive plan section that talks about recommended land uses and allocations, these percentages, because as we have found over the years, mixed use, as we see in Newtown, is one thing, and then mixed use, as we see being proposed in a lot of cases now, is essentially just a residential use with 1 or 2 small buildings put in to get some component of commercial so that you can call it mixed use and therefore get higher housing density. Because if it were at a lower housing density, it would be down below 4 units per acre, whereas this gets it up above 4 units per acre. It is what's allowable. So I was looking at trying to maybe, if I could ask Mr. Holt to come up and talk to us a little bit about how this gets applied. Is when we talk about this land use and recommended allocations, does it get applied across a whole parcel of being brought before us, or is it applicable only at land bays that you devise? Like for example, where there's a land bay that's nothing but residential. How do these figures that are in the comprehensive plan translate to what we actually see in applications coming before us and what we should be expecting? Because I think what I get the feeling is that what we're seeing before us in the board really doesn't meet the level of integration, if you will, of commercial and residential that one would expect normally from mixed use.
Sure. Mr. Eisenhower, members of the board, good afternoon. For this particular application, I think staff had followed up with the analysis on how those different tiers and sublevels break down to the specific application. Your question about whether or not it applies to all mixed-use development or not, it's really an interesting question. I would say it's probably dependent more so on the application. As you know, there are mixed-use designations on the comprehensive plan land use map that do cover very large areas, of which there are many properties, and then there are areas like this one that are specific to, say, Parcel C. And so I think for this particular application, instead of applying all of those sub-level details or breaking that out, really based on the idea as conveyed by the Planning Commission, really that last sentence is the general pattern of the proposed development consistent with the development that surrounds it. That's really what most informed staff's recommendation on the proposed rezoning for this one, for this specific application. And staff found that it was generally consistent with the existing Newtown as a whole.
Can you tell me a little bit, I'm sort of at a loss when I read this comp plan, and it tells me the residential should be, even for the two of them, anywhere between 20 to 60%. And it appears that they're talking about of the land allocations when they
In the master plan
yeah,
as a
and
whole.
when they're talking about that, they're talking about the overall area, I guess, or acreage or whatever.
Master plan.
How is it that when you get like one where instead of being it's maybe well outside of that, it's like 80 or 90% residential, and the commercial would be well under the lower limit. I mean, what value are these limitations in the comprehensive plan if they aren't necessarily applied?
Sure. Well, remember, those comp plan standards are unique to mixed use, but that's mixed use as a whole, countywide. And so as staff looks at the consistency with that, we apply those desires and goals as expressed by the comp plan for mixed use generally countywide, and then we look to apply them to property-specific rezoning applications, such as the one here. Again, I think the material impact, the material fact that staff took into account for this one, even though it is not meeting some of those sub-ranges, again, is a design, scale, and development pattern generally consistent with the Newtown development that surrounds it to the south.
Questions?
Yeah, I have to admit, I'm a little unsure of what we're doing here today, in the sense that we're not really looking at the specific proposal, right? And I've got some significant questions about the proposal there. We're really more looking at which category of development this ought to fall in, right?
Level 1 or level 2.
Yeah, and so when I think about mixed use, I guess I have that same kind of what I think Mr. Eisenhower was suggesting, an image of a development that has uses that are intermingled, and that when we're seeing mixed use, which I think we've seen a lot of over the years, which tends to sort of have predominantly residential with maybe a small commercial strip involved. Does that meet? Is that a suggestion that that's been the typical way in which mixed use has been envisioned? And as a result, when we think about that as being what we would expect to see countywide, do we really wind up with something close to a mixture of residential and commercial activities and others that countywide that would show more integration, or have we kind of gotten into a pattern where predominantly residential development occurs and commercial is a kind of afterthought?
Generally, I think most of our applications in recent memory have tended to have more discrete areas of residential versus the commercial for sure. And really indeed, within Newtown, there's probably really good examples of both, right? There's the sort of the core of Newtown around Legacy Hall, where you have really that true integration of residential and non-residential, all usually within the same buildings. But again, then there are other parts of Newtown where the commercial is more distinct from some of the residential streets, so.
Yeah, but even there, I do tend to see a little bit more in terms of professional offices, for instance, as opposed to retail businesses and restaurants and so forth, as still being in close proximity to encourage walkability. And not that everyone's going to walk, but that there's a dispersal of the commercial activity in ways that can make it less necessary that you have availability of a car, or that you might just choose to walk to a particular location. That's sort of what my image of a mixed use residential mixed use development ought to look like. And I guess I'm just wondering whether that's really what's happened over time more generally.
You see that quite a bit on the settlers market side, especially where I think some of the banks are, where some of the smaller grocery stores are, some of the inline stores are very much in close walking proximity to the townhomes and some of the other single-family attached. But really, even in some of those examples, they are distinct. They're much tighter and closer together in proximity to facilitate some of the walking and biking. But even those, you tend to have residential on the one side of the street and the non-residential on the other.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if you're looking at Newtown, you're looking at around, Legacy Hall, in that area, and then to a certain degree down Discovery Boulevard, where you have a actual mix within the same buildings. I guess that, and there are areas of Newtown that outlying, like back on Rawlison Drive and back in some of the other areas where it's strictly residential, back in that area. But I'm when I take a look at Newtown and I look at these numbers, I can see where I think that the uses, even though some of them are more integrated and some of them are separate but fairly closely located, that in the aggregate, all of Newtown does tend to fall into these types of categories. I mean, where you have a certain percentage of residential or a certain percentage of business or whatever. And that what I'm concerned about is as we incrementally add that, like we're doing everywhere else throughout the county, as we incrementally add, we're getting away from that. And essentially, mixed use becomes a tool where you can put in a particular office or a particular business or something and call it mixed use, and then get enhanced residential density, which you could not get otherwise. And so that becomes an issue, I think, for us from a residential standpoint. And so I guess what I can see where the application of this on a larger scale is maybe meets what we're looking for. But I see that tends to break down when we get into these others, and I understand the rationale for staff using it, but it concerns me a little bit. So.
And I can see some of it. I think our biggest thing is looking, is it level 1 or level 2? And, both of them are fairly close. But you've got to also remember too, in a scenario, if we're gonna develop anything or wanna see something develop within the primary service area, it's gotta work for both of us, not only the citizens, but for the, whoever's developing it. And, you know, the last thing I wanna do is restrict it to the point where you build something and then you get it from the citizens, so there's another building that's never getting filled. And I think being in proximity next to, Newtown, you know, lends it to that same concept of Newtown and what Newtown is. Now, can you make it like Newtown being as small as it is compared to Newtown? No, because, you know, you could cover it with houses and look like part of Newtown, or cover it in residential and look like part of Newtown. And I think it's trying to figure out, you know, what is the balance between the two. And I think it's got to be a balance not only between those two, but between the county and whoever is purchased it to develop it. Is what's that balance? What are we looking for? And I know with staff, it gives them a broad picture of, this is what we want to look for the entire county. Well, each component's going to look different. So I think you can't really put it under a microscope and look at one piece. You almost have to look like staff looks countywide. And how does this fit within the program that we've decided you need to follow? And if that's the case, it almost would be something that the board would have to look at and say, is this what we want to do? You know, and if it is, then we continue. If it's not, then we may have to give a different direction to staff and say, here's the new rules of what we want to see. I think what we've got in place works very well and gives good direction to staff as far as what we're looking for. And I know always a concern is the balance of residential and the balance of commercial, but also is a balance of, you know, can the person that's developing it succeed down the road for the county? Because that's going to, in turn, make the county succeed as well. That's 2 cents there.
So I would bring back one thing for the board to consider in our debate here, is that, you know, we're trying to decide what we want to do, whether, you know, and it's being presented to us as a mixed use. And the argument is it level 1 or is it level 2? And based on the current application, it probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference. But what I'm concerned about is that what happens is when you put a designation on a piece of property, and then the application either doesn't get built or doesn't get approved, you know, something, and now somebody else comes along and they want to build. So if you're building, you know, we got a proposal for us there that's like less than 4 units per acre. A subsequent proposal, you put that land use on there, could be anywhere up to, you know, 10, 12 units per acre. And so is that what we want to see out there? And so for me, I'm thinking I want to be very conservative on it, and I think level 1 is still ample. But you know, I don't think it's going to be adverse necessarily to the proposal that's out there currently right now.
Right.
What I want to make sure is that if that's not the proposal that gets built, that we have a level on there that we can live with in the long term. I mean, ultimately, you could actually come back and say, all right, if we're just going to do residential, let's just call it residential. You know, in fact, that would probably fit in the category of low density residential if you pulled out the commercial part of it.
What couldn't we, or future boards, if you decided, okay, we do a level 2, and this proposal, like you say, doesn't matter either way on this proposal, and this proposal come and decides we're going to pull it, we're not going to do it. Then we can do the same thing we're doing right here and change the land designation to a level 1 at a later board. Any board could change it at any time that they wish to, you know, before another applicant comes in. I mean, if that's a concern that changes it.
Historically, we only do this at the comp plan review. But because we made a decision at the comp plan to defer that on this particular piece of property until such time as the application came forward, I think it's appropriate to do now. But I'm not sure it necessarily would be appropriate for us to do it outside of another comp plan review. So, you know, it's one of those things that if we're going to do it, I want to get it right.
Yeah, but, you know, and I agree, but the thing I look at too is it's inside the primary service area. So it's in where we said, this is where we want development. And now we're going back and saying, well, we may not want development in this area or limited development or what. I think we need to, if we're gonna say, okay, the primary service areas, we want X amount of development, are we developing the whole thing, or should we just look at the whole plan and go, inside the primary service area, we're only gonna want X amount of development and take the parcels and say this parcel will have that much and this one will have this much? And then when an applicant comes and looks at a piece of land to buy it, then they can look at it and go, "Nah, I can't make that work there. You know, I can make it work on this side of the county, but I can't make it work on that side in the primary service area because of traffic or whatever may cause the issue." So I think that's something that, you know, I always feel that we're the ones that give or should give the direction to an applicant ahead of them buying the land or anything else. And we
Absolutely.
do very well.
No,
We're not doing bad. I don't want to say that. I think
I
we're
think
doing
they
great.
ought, I think they ought to know, but one of the things that, and it's actually beyond the scope of the discussion here today, because we're just looking at what we want to designate on the land use thing.
Right.
You know, it's inside the primary service area, but there are also extenuating circumstances. This is in the Powhatan Creek watershed. This is the heart of the most adversely affected part of the Powhatan Creek watershed. And, you know, if you go back and look at the history of the impervious cover that we put in there, maybe it isn't such a good idea just to say, all right, we want it to all happen inside the primary service area. Just go for broke, whatever what you want. You know, we can do higher density, we can do more impervious cover. Those are things that we would have to consider with an application when it comes actually before us. Not at this phase, but, you know, I think I'm a little concerned that you know, people might get the wrong impression that, okay, yeah, it's inside the primary service area, you know, we want to go for higher density in there. Yeah, it's higher density than we would outside, but it's not, it has to be unique to the actual piece of property and the circumstances that surround it.
And that's getting right to the heart of what I'm thinking is, you know, so do we, as a board, say, because if I'm coming to bring a project to you and it says, and you say, I want it inside the primary service area, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put it inside the primary service area. Well, maybe there's degrees inside that service area that we go, okay, because of this area is affected by this or that area is affected by that, then we're gonna limit this amount. We may have to go deeper and say that, and then staff can say, I'm telling you right now, this area here is sensitive to the waterways or whatever, so this area here is not going to be able to be developed at this level. So they know it already before they purchase a piece of land. There's not a chance I would even do that because I can't get it in there. I mean, you could try to go through the board, but it would give them knowledge ahead of time, and I think that would give better direction. You know, every time we're on something like this, we're always looking at how do we get better direction or something. And that's all I'm trying to do is how do we give a better direction and save everybody some time.
Barbara?
Okay, so we're talking about just changing the designation. That's what we're changing, level 1 or level 2. The more I read, and I've read it probably 50 times, and it's crazy to read all this, but I think what people want, they move here because we have open land. So level 1 has more open land. I think that's really important. They also don't want 50 million houses. They just don't. So I know this is a small development, but I'm just saying they want it to remain pretty. They want it to remain small, like small town, which is what they're looking at. And I think level 1 is the way to go. It's off Discovery Park. It's not out on 199. It's not out on Monticello Avenue. It's going to be quieter back there. I think it's more attractive to people. And I just support number 1.
Ruth, can you comment?
This is so interesting to me that the applicant, we're kind of holding in while we figure this out, I guess. So I guess they're planning accordingly, but it can be. It's interesting because there's not a lot of difference if you really look down to the brass tacks of it. Where multifamily residential, there is a little bit in the office, but there is no civic space, but 5% seems a little low anyway. So it's a lot to consider, and I appreciate the work that you all have done. And we'll be bringing this back up at 5, is that?
Yeah, I think what the staff has done is they have prepared 2 resolutions for us, one for a level 1, one for a level 2. So if the board decides that they want to take action on this at the 5 o'clock meeting, we can decide which one we want to adopt, and we can go there, and that would then put that land use for that particular parcel in effect for the consideration of the applicant coming forward.
Right, what if we don't do something tonight? What does that mean for the applicant?
The rezoning application, as you recall from a previous meeting, was postponed until your February meeting. And so, you know, if a board action was not taken on the comp plan language tonight, you could postpone it again, theoretically, to your January or February meeting. But to your point, I think the applicant, to the degree they want to make adjustments or finalize their application before
Sure.
that public hearing in February, you know, any insight I'm sure would be helpful to them as well.
I would think that it's probably it makes it more difficult for the applicant, I think, to not know what the outcome of it is until right to the very end. If we try to do it at the same meeting, I think that'd be very counterproductive and not very fair to them. I think whatever we decide we want to do, I think we need to do it in adequate lead time so they have time to prepare their application to reflect that.
Thank you.
So I agree with Ms. Null that my preference would be for level 1, but part of the reason for that is that I think that we do understand that there is desire in the community to maintain open space and to have more balance in terms of the amount of residential development that's approved. But the challenge here is really, for me, one of, you know, I watched the Planning Commission discussion of this the other night, and I'm left with the impression that there are a lot of things that that the proposal that's on the table doesn't really satisfy. And if again, I don't really want to, we don't have the application in front of us, so,
Right.
you know, nobody
Not
has
in
it
the mix.
here. But my understanding is that the commercial is going to be handled by hiving off a portion or taking one of the
Different
land.
application. That's on the larger Cardinal Ridge
Ah,
application.
1,000.
Yeah, this
Oh, I'm sorry,
language
this
was
is the
specific
the
to-
one, right,
Right.
right. Yeah.
I don't think they discussed this at their
No.
PC.
It was this particular one was heard quite a bit ago.
Right, yeah, it wasn't their most recent.
Yeah.
Well, I think we can move from there. I think we have a consensus for level 1, but we'll see at the board meeting when we bring it up. If we're ready to vote on it, we can do that at that time.
That would also give staff the ability to then, as we finalize the staff report for your February meeting, to do
To make sure that it
those
meets the
different
requirements of that,
analyses
yeah.
on the intensity and the Florida area ratio and the different land uses for you.
All right, is that, you got sufficient direction on that one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, we will now jump back to our James City County audit presentation. Ms. Laura Harden, auditor for Cherry Beckart, is here now. Very good. You have the floor, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
Good
for-
afternoon.
So There's quite a bit in this agenda. I am not going to cover every single item, just the key highlights and the results of the audit. My name is Laura Harden. I am the engagement director who oversaw the audit of the county and take ultimate responsibility for our audit opinion. So we did audit the County of James City, Virginia, as of and for the year ended June 30, 2025. We issued our report on December 4th, 2025. We issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That is the best opinion you can receive as a result of an audit and is considered a clean audit opinion. We also do perform audits under both government auditing standards and the Auditor of Public Accounts for the Commonwealth of Virginia's specifications for audits of cities, counties, and towns. We identified no instances of noncompliance under those standards or specifications. We also do gain an understanding of the county's internal control environment. This helps us to plan and perform our audit. If we identified any deficiencies in internal control, we'd be required to report them to you, but we did not identify anything that we consider to be a material weakness in internal control over financial reporting. A little bit of a change from last year. We typically issue the single audit along with the annual comprehensive financial report. The Office of Management and Budget was delayed in issuing their compliance supplement this year. They issued it right before Thanksgiving. We could not issue our audit opinion until we have had that final compliance supplement. So now that we do have that, we are in the process of wrapping up those procedures, and we will issue a report on compliance for each major federal program and internal control over compliance in accordance with uniform guidance. We also did not identify any misstatements during our audit that were either corrected by management or left uncorrected. Within the financial statements, the county's significant accounting policies are described in Note 1 of the financial statements. The most significant change this year is that the county did implement GASB Statement Number 101 for compensated absences. This standard is required to be applied retroactively and resulted in a restatement of beginning net position of just over $5 million. More information can be is in Note 1 and 18 of the basic financial statements. We will perform one non-attest service for the county. At the conclusion of the single audit, we will assist with the input of the data collection form that goes to the Federal Audit Clearinghouse. Management will assign someone to oversee those services and ultimately take responsibility. We are independent of the county, and we did meet our ethical responsibilities. I'm pleased to inform you that we did not have any difficulties in performing our audit. We did not have any disagreements with management. We also did not have to consult with anybody outside of our engagement team for any kind of contentious matters. We obtained a representation letter from management dated the date of our audit opinion that represents to us that we were provided all the information we need to perform our audit. We are also not aware of any consultations that management had with any other accountants. We did not identify any other findings or issues that are required to be reported to you, nor did we identify any fraud, illegal acts, waste, or abuse during our audit procedures. We also did not have any events or conditions that indicate substantial doubt about the county's ability to continue as a going concern. And then lastly, I just want to make you aware that next year there are a couple of accounting standards that will be effective for fiscal year 2026. GASB Statement number 103 for financial reporting model improvements, as well as Statement number 104 for disclosure of certain capital assets. We're not expecting any significant changes, nor will these result in any sort of restatement to the county's financial statements. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Very good.
Thank you for the good work on this audit and especially the staff's involvement, which I'm sure was very helpful in making this successful.
Yes, we really appreciate all the assistance that everyone within the county has provided to us.
And I appreciate your flexibility in racing from one place to the other to get this before us today. So
this is a busy
you.
day for everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry.
Okay. We now move to board considerations. We have a contract award, $3,751,447, Axon equipment and licenses. And I'm going to be myrtle of the name. Becco? Becco. Okay, honestly, Becco will present.
Good afternoon, Chairman Eisenhower, members of the board. The Police Department is requesting approval to enter into a 5-year contract with Axon Enterprises, Inc. for Axon equipment, software, and user licenses totaling $3,751,477. The agreement provides replacement body-worn cameras, interview room equipment, unlimited cloud storage, connectivity licenses, Fusus, Evidence.com licenses, and various software solutions that represent mandatory recurring costs necessary to support the operational and evidentiary functions of the police department. The contract also includes new products such as Axon AI Suite, Axon VR, Signal Sensor, and Axon Performance, which will improve operational efficiency, enhance training, and streamline digital evidence management. In addition, this contract consolidates multiple existing Axon agreements into one, improving contract management and efficiency and reducing administrative workload. Funding for this contract will be requested through the police department's operating budgets over the next 5 fiscal years, beginning with fiscal year 2027. No current year appropriation is required. The Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing Contract includes a non-appropriation clause to protect the county should funding not be approved in future fiscal years. The lowest procurement method found by police and purchasing staff for this purchase is to use a cooperative purchasing contract issued by Sourcewell in the state of Minnesota, Contract 101-223, AXN, to Axon Enterprises, Inc. As a result of cooperative sealed invitation for bid. The Sourcewell contract contains wording allowing other localities to purchase from the contract. Cooperative procurement action is authorized by Chapter 1, Section 5 of the James City County Purchasing Policy and the Virginia Public Procurement Act. By participating in the cooperative procurement action, staff believes the county will increase efficiency, reduce administrative expenses, and benefit from an accelerated delivery process. The pricing offered by Axon is guaranteed only through December 31st, 2025, and Axon has indicated that cost will increase if the contract is not agreed to prior to December 31st. Staff recommends adoption of the attached resolution authorizing the contract award to Axon Enterprises, Inc. in the amount of $3,751,477 for the procurement of Axon equipment, software, and user licenses for the police department. Are there any questions or comments?
I have one comment. Reading the report and all that, and it's a 5-year contract, and that is also saving the county a little over $1 million, correct?
Yes.
So that's something worth mentioning to the citizens that, you know, I know it's 3 million plus, and but we're in the long run we're saving an extra $1 million by doing what we're doing. So, you know, you've gone out and y'all found ways to save the county extra taxpayer money, so I do appreciate that.
So is the body camera footage, is the company, is it saving in their cloud, or is it, and we know this company, we've checked them out, and
Sorry.
Yes, Ms. Larson, so Axon we've been using for years, and they store all their evidence, what we call evidence.com, in the cloud. It's for our in-car cameras, our body cameras, our interview rooms use Axon, and our body cameras, any video that is stored in the cloud is unlimited storage, so it doesn't cost us any more money. So all of that is in the cloud and stored and protected, and no one else can access it.
okay. Yeah, I appreciate Supervisor Hippel pointing that out, because when you first look at it, you're like, oh, wow. But also very, very important things that this is doing. And so that I understand that there's a cost for that, but I appreciate him pointing out about the savings as well. But thank you.
Other questions for?
Now, do we need to move?
Yeah, we're looking for a motion to accept that contract, award that contract.
Accept.
Okay, Ms. Knoll? Stevens, call the roll, please.
Mr. McGlinnan.
Aye.
Ms. Larson.
Aye.
Ms. Knoll.
Aye.
Mr. Hippel.
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is the adoption of the strategic plan. Jason First to present.
You're clearing the room, Jason. What's going on?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the
strategic
board.
plan.
I've asked Latara Rouse to join me as well. She was instrumental in the compiling of this plan, and I want to make sure she gets all the credit as well. It's our pleasure really to be here today. This has been a 2-year process, started back in 2024, in the spring of 2024 with our consultant Clarion. Just a very quick story sort of about how we got here. Back when we did the original strategic plan back in 2016, it was very focused on capital initiatives. We really wanted the board and the community to be aware of what was going to be coming over the next few years to really get that buy-in ahead of time with the strategic document. Funny thing happened once we implemented it. All the board members who have participated in our onboarding, new employee orientation, will know that the strategic plan played a really vital part of that. We go through our mission, vision, values, and then the strategic plan. When we present that up front, it really means that the employees have a lot of buy-in on that, and they're very interested in how they are going to be affecting the work we do and how that's going to relate to the strategic plan. So we really went into this process, one, trying to get the public engagement, but then two, trying to figure out how to make it really meaningful for staff as well, because they wanted that connection to the community and they wanted to show sort of how they've been working on things. So that was sort of the lead in to how we got to where we are. Excuse me. Our consultant was here back in November to talk about the changes to the plan, so I'm not going to go into it in too great a detail, but just to give you really the two main changes. We really added guiding principles this time, so we were able to take some of the overarching elements of the plan, raise those up so they weren't necessarily goals, but that they were the overarching principles that we wanted all of our staff to adhere to. Service focused, exceptional public service is something that you hear us talk a lot about. Fiscal efficiency, we talk about it whenever we're in front of you all, and then transparent communications. So those are three of the things that we thought were going to be relevant to all of the work that the county does, so we just wanted to highlight those extra special. And then to the goals. This is really what folks will see in all of the budgeting documents that we have. These icons are going to represent the different goals that we have moving forward. The ones that are on the screen now are carryovers. These are ones that we continue to want to focus on. Not that we didn't accomplish them, but we really just continue to want this to be a focus of all of our staff work. Collaborate with JCSA on the long-term water supply. Protect community character, the enhanced built environment, exceptional public service that we talked about. This is a slightly different. If you go into the actual document, you'll see a lot be focused on sort of the public safety aspect of things. So that's something we highlighted there. Collaborate with the schools on high quality education. You'll notice almost every meeting we have new technology that we're rolling out, Axon body cameras, that it sort of goes to exactly what this goal area is. And then support a growing and diverse local economy. You guys were talking about that as well when we were talking about some of the mixed use areas. And then finally, the two new goal areas that we have here. Recruit and retain a skilled workforce. That's something our county administrator has really focused on over the past few years. We wanted to make sure that that was highlighted. And then from the work that we did on the last comprehensive plan, we had the workforce committee that we had put together. We really want to be able to preserve and support the development of attainable housing, affordable housing, workforce housing, and all the things that we do. So with that being said, I think we're proud of the plan that we have. We got it all sent through communications for all the graphics and the design, and we're really happy with it. And we would obviously recommend that the board adopt the 2026 strategic plan. Anything else?
Questions for staff?
That's good. Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, if there are no, any board discussion, if not, I'll look for a motion.
Barbara made the motion.
Okay, Barbara's got made the motion. Mr. Stevens, call the roll.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, board requests and directives.
I had just a couple. One, so it's not, full disclosure, not my district, it's Mr. Eisenhower's, but it butts right up to mine. I don't know when the next time Rossi is here, but I've had more comments since, you know, we had two fatalities in the area of Monticello Road. So two things with that. One, Monticello is just a kind of a weird bird speed-wise, because when you're on Monticello coming from Green Springs, the speed limit is 45, and then you get to about Mid-County Park, and it slows to 35, and then right when you get to all the stoplights, it goes to 45. I don't understand the rationale there. So, plus there is no crosswalk between the Target shopping center and the shopping center across the street. And there are lots of people that walk there. I mean, there's a neighborhood, Meadows across from there, Veterans Park. There's lots of walkability, but it's not the safest thing to try to maneuver. And you add on top of that, going from 35 miles an hour to 45 miles an hour. And so I would kind of like to know why. Why is it that way? Is the 35 at Mid-County Park back from when it was baseball? Because it's pretty fenced in. I don't think you're going to have a child that comes running down that hill. I've not experienced that. I don't know if that's it, just danger from the park. But then to me, it should stay 35 until you get through, or 40 or something. But anyway, the other thing, and it's not on our legislative agenda, but it's just something I think we ought to think about. And a lot of people have shared with me lately are the e-bikes and the scooters and the lack of helmet wearing and how fast they're going. And so I just think moving forward, that might be something, I don't know if that, how the police, you know, there is a law about having a helmet on a bicycle, but I don't know if police stop anybody that doesn't have a helmet on. But I've had several people comment to me about how fast these e-bikes can go and the safety of them, and just things I think that we should be looking at. So
I'll be glad to bring it up with Rossi because I've mentioned it before in talking about the speed limits there. If it drops to 35, just about Windsor Mead, and just as you come around the corner to the entrance to Publix, I think that was one of the problems. It was where there was turning traffic there and a lot of traffic in and out of the thing, that they made the speed limit lower there. And the reason they continued it, I understand, on beyond Veterans Park was because of Steeplechase Apartments, which was fairly close by right there. But then we had the same argument about the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit on Ironbound between the park and the Meadows. They finally dropped that down to 40. But there seems to be no consistency about, and you're right, because where the traffic goes back up to 45 as you're headed into Newtown is where the traffic moves the slowest.
well, it's also 45 there at Target.
Yeah.
As soon as you get to the stoplight, it turns to 45.
Yeah.
But that reminded me on the road that I've been talking a lot about between 5 and Monticello, they dropped that 5 miles an hour because I was wondering, they put the speed limit sign up and then it was 55, which it was anyway because it was unmarked. I just happened to turn on it after we were at a meeting and it said new speed limit, and they dropped it to 50. But when you try to get something dropped say Green Springs, which is a very much of a concern for me, a 2-lane road, no shoulder, 45, had fatalities there, can't get any drop. So I just would like to know what, and I know they're going to say there's traffic engineers. I get it, but what's the thinking behind, yeah,
I think we'll try
Thank
to
you.
figure out when we have Rossi's scheduled to
thank
come
you.
back and have that.
Just,
that
just
addressed.
related to that, when was the last time Mr. Carroll was here?
I'd have to look back, I don't remember.
I think it's been about 3 months.
Just,
Hasn't been here for a while.
I didn't think it was even as recently as 3 months, but maybe my memory is not correct on that. We used to get quarterly visits for.
Yeah.
Quarterly visits.
So
If we can, I would like to see if we maybe set him up for a pre-scheduled quarterly visit for the rest of next year, because it'll be an opportunity to have him back before us.
I do have to say that VDOT did do some things up at 6 Mountain Zion Road. Thank them for that, because I was getting phone calls every single day about how dangerous it is because they closed that road. And so everybody has to come out of the main road going into Stonehouse. So it's a real mess, but at least they've got great big signs up there now that are flashing and so forth.
You do.
Thank God for that. So at least they listened to that.
And it's not to just to badger or pester Mr. Carroll, but sometimes to thank him for good work that's been done, or and so forth, and sometimes to pester him.
Send him a note.
Yeah. But I did want to just mention a couple of things. We've had a busy time since our last meeting. One of the things that's occupied our time is consideration of school policies and direction. We had the joint meeting with the city council and the school board that was, I think, very productive and useful. Got good briefings from the superintendent on his capital budget proposals and his strategic plan initiatives. We also had the celebration of business that I know many of us attended at the Main, which was a very well-organized and successful event. And I did want to draw attention to the ribbon cutting for the community building and theater that Williamsburg Landing just opened. It's really a beautiful facility, several hundred-seat theater, and great opportunity for an art room and for an alternative dining option and so forth. But beautiful new facility there. And while it's generally just reserved for the residents of Williamsburg Landing, I think that the director of the facility is interested in finding an opportunity for occasional use by county or county organizations as well. And back to schools for just a moment. An issue that's come up frequently recently in my district, and I think in others as well, is the car lines that proliferate at a number of the schools. Parents come to pick up or drop off their children. And in some instances, it's within a residential neighborhood, which creates problems with people getting in and out of their own driveways. In other cases, it may be on a main road where there's a backup as people are trying to turn into the school facility. And so I would encourage people to think about whether they might not be better served by utilizing the bus system that's out there. And got an interesting idea from somebody involved in bus scheduling for the schools that suggested that we might consider in our development standards that when we're developing a residential neighborhood where we expect there to be children, that we ask that some space be reserved for a pickup and drop-off spot for school buses, because there are a number of instances currently in which the buses are delayed for several minutes because on a rainy day, for instance, lots of parents drive their children to the school bus location, but because there's no shelter, there's no convenient gathering place, it takes a while for the bus to get back out on the road again. And I think one of the big objections to riding the school bus is that the routes take too long. And so that might speed things up a bit, but just wanted to pass that along.
Good luck with
as
that,
well.
John.
Yeah, right.
What a lovely
Yeah.
idea. What
Yeah.
a great idea. And we all went to most of us went to the CEO grand
CEO.
opening and ribbon cutting, which I think is gonna be so great for our county, the revenue, the jobs, and it was a wonderful event.
Hey, we'll go to the reports to county administrator, and if we need to, because we do need to get to our closed session, we want to try to conclude by about 3:45 for scheduling of the swearing in ceremony. So, okay, all right, then I will move to the closed session. I may have a motion to enter closed session for the following items. Consideration of a personnel matter, the appointment of individuals to county boards and or commissions pursuant to section 2.23711A1 of the Code of Virginia and pertaining to the Social Services Advisory Board. Number two, pursuant to section 2.23711A1 of the Code of Virginia, discussion of assignment, appointment, performance, demotion, and disciplining of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, specifically the Planning Commission. Number three, consideration of the position of the disposition of publicly held real property where the discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to section 2.23711A3 of the Code of Virginia and pertaining to 2054 Jamestown Road. And number four, discussion of the award of a public contract where discussion in an open session would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to section 2.23711A29 and pertaining to 4900 Stadium Road. And the one we added, fifth, consideration of the acquisition of real property where discussion in open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to section 2.23711A3 of the Code of Virginia and pertaining to a parcel along Pocahontas Trail.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Mr. Stevens, call the roll, please.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye. Okay, we're in closed session, so we'll have the come back into open session, and may I have a motion to certify the,
Mr. Chairman, I move to certify that we only spoke about those items we indicated we'd speak about going into closed session.
okay, Mr. Stevens, call the roll.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye,
Motion carries.
okay.
I have a motion, Frank Ferguson, to the Social Services Advisory Board for a term that will expire December 23rd, 2029.
Okay, Ms. Stevens, call the roll.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. And the last one is the real property, the resolution prepared for the acquisition of real property.
I will move that resolution to acquire the real property on Pocahontas Trail.
Honest Trail, okay. Stevens, call the roll.
Mr. Hippel?
Aye.
Ms. Knoll?
Aye.
Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan?
Aye.
Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. And I believe we now are going to adjourn until 5 PM,
Today.
all the way to the 5 PM. Motion to
Motion.
adjourn? Okay, we have a motion. Mr. Stevens,
Aye.
call the roll.
Aye. Aye.
Mr. Hippel, Ms. Knoll, Ms. Larson?
Aye.
Mr. McGlinnan? Mr. Eisenhower?
Aye, okay. We are adjourned for a
All
short
right,
time
what
period.
time are we back in here?